Hello, happy Sunday. How is everybody today? For those of you who have never caught me live before, my name is Jewel, and I am a grateful recovering addict. Excuse me. I will celebrate 9 years clean on August 5th of this year. I'm just gonna go live with my brother-in-law Joe. See that you're on here. It says you're on here. Hey.
What up?
I had to get him right. He was on his lunch break and his back's been bothering him, so he's going to the store to get something, and I had to tell him what was in the account first.
Don't nobody care about his weak ass.
When I answered, I was like, what are you doing aside from not reading my messages? Because I had literally sent him a message telling him I was going live so he would know. But he didn't know. Apparently this morning, the supervisor come over to him and told him that he's doing exceptionally well and she wants to snatch him up quickly for full time. So that's exciting.
Doesn't surprise me.
Me neither, because he's an excellent worker. You know what I mean? That's obvious.
What doesn't he do well?
Right. So, okay, so I'm going to read the gist for today first. The fat cat knocked over the grill that I always put my stand on, so I can't use my stand while I'm outside. I have to find a new setup, I guess. Okay, so did you share this out, or Shira, did you share this out? It won't let me.
I already did.
Okay. Old dreams needn't die. Lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arise. Basic text, page 91. Most of us had dreams when we were young. Whether we dreamed of a dynamic career, a large and loving family, or travels abroad, our dreams died when our addiction took hold. Anything we ever wanted for ourselves was cast away in our pursuit of drugs. Our dreams didn't go beyond the next drug and the euphoria we hoped it would bring. Now in recovery, we find a reason to hope that our lost dreams could still come true. No matter how old we are, how much our addiction has taken from us, or how unlikely it may seem, our freedom from active addiction gives us the freedom to pursue our ambitions. We may discover that we're very talented at something or find a hobby we love, or learn that continuing our education can bring remarkable rewards. We used to put most of our energy into spinning excuses and rationalizations of our failures. Today we go forward and make use of the many opportunities life presents to us. We may be amazed at what we're capable of. With our foundation of recovery, success, fulfillment, and satisfaction are within our reach at last. Just for today, starting today, I'll do whatever I can to realize my dreams. Thank you. I know that you have a topic. I'm just gonna. What?
I said finally a great original topic on the day that I want to talk about something else.
Yeah. Well, and I really like this one because I don't know if you remember, but I had done a live on Halloween of last year, and it was basically about, we had gone to Matthew's Halloween parade at the school, and you know, all these kids are dressed up in different things, right? Like superheroes, there were policemen, there were firefighters, Disney princesses, you know, anything you can think of. All these kids were just that, you know. And so my thing was about how people look at people in active addiction. You know, they have such a negative view on them and they speak so ill of them, and it's like, this wasn't their dream. You know what I mean? When they were a child, they didn't dream of becoming up to be a drug addict. That wasn't the goal in life. That wasn't the plan for any of us. So, anyways.
Right. And this is another one of those topics that apply to everybody, not just addicts and alcoholics.
Right.
A lot of times we get sidetracked trying to you know, a lot of us leave the nest earlier than others, and you know, we're forced to settle for shit so we can survive. And I was raised to be a survivor and, you know, do what I got to do so I can take care of myself and take care of my family. And I really like the fact that my wife has taught me that, you know, you can do more than just survive.
Right.
You can excel, you can achieve, you can do other things. You don't have to get stuck in survival mode for the rest of your life. Um, and it's something that I've learned. It's something that I've done. It's something I've been patient with. Um, and I'm putting all my focus, no matter how long it takes for me to get what I want. I'm going to put all my focus into what I want, not what the world or society thinks I should have to do, and what they think the requirement of a good man is. Or, I see all the time people talking about, a man's supposed to pay all the bills, and the woman's supposed to stay home and take care of the kids. It's bullshit. It's 2019. I don't know what fucking man you're gonna find that makes that much money that's just gonna let you sit home.
Right.
That's a luxury.
Right.
Like I said, if I made $1 million a year, yeah, sure, my wife can stay home. But it's like a relationship is give and take, and there's been plenty of times where Shira was, out on her ass and I held it down. There was plenty of times where I was out on my ass and she held it down. It's about that, like, just coming together for every situation. It doesn't matter what the situation is. And
Right.
if your partner wants to do something different, then you need to lift your partner up and help your partner achieve, no matter what it takes. And we get sidetracked with, a lot of these ridiculous standards that we place on people when we're all human beings.
Right.
And I always ask myself, before you put a standard on somebody else, put a standard on yourself first. Look at yourself and say, can I meet these standards? So, for example, for the old traditional, back in the day, which isn't even true. A lot of people think that back in the day, the man worked and the woman stayed home. It's complete bullshit.
Right.
I mean, how long ago are we going to go back? Because the women in my life, the elder women in my life worked.
Right.
So I don't understand.
My mom Liz
I
did.
don't understand.
My mom Liz was,
Yeah, that's what I'm
she basically worked
like.
for herself too because she was a bus driver. She owned her own bus. So she was her own boss. And that's like it's inspiring to me because it's like that it like it runs in the family. You know what I mean? Like that was something that she started that she wanted to do. And my grandfather was in the army. And so when he came home, of course he got a job, but they both worked. They've always worked.
Right. And I don't, um, when I see like if I was single and I'm looking for a woman, I'm not gonna look for a woman whose only ambition is to stay home. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what are you doing at home? If you're home and you're trying to, like, start your own business or something, that's cool. I can rock with that, and I can go out there and do what I got to do to help you achieve. But if you literally have nothing, that you just want me to go out and pay all the bills and bust my ass and never be home while you can sit home on the couch. And it's like I talked about, raising kids. Like, I've been home with my kids a lot since I've, tried to do my own thing from home. And I hold it the fuck down. It's not that difficult.
Right.
I can clean the whole house, cook dinner, spend time with my daughters, take care of my daughters, and not break a sweat. So I don't understand this. I'm not saying it's not a hard job, because it's very tiring. I will admit it. But just to think, like, you know that's all you want.
Right.
I'm not knocking anybody if that's how it works for you. Like I said, if I was like a millionaire and we had nothing else left to achieve from a financial standpoint, cool. I don't care. Sit home. I'm gonna sit home too. But um, you should always want to keep learning and keep achieving and keep growing and keep maturing. And part of that is, what you want to do to make money. You should always. It's not like, I just feel like standards are stupid. It's not like, it's just unrealistic. I just don't understand why we have, like, this preconceived notion of what we expect out of somebody else, and then we don't have anything that we expect out of ourselves.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
and
So,
in the way that things are set up now, it's not it doesn't serve people to both stay home or to have somebody at home. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't for the situation we were in, I wouldn't have been able to do that. If we had our own house or we're paying our own rent or whatever the case was, I wouldn't have been able to do that. You know what I mean? Josh went to work. He made a great living at his at the last job he had, and hopefully this one too. And I was able to stay home. I was afforded that luxury from him. So in that time, I had just had Russell, and I think I had Russell in May, and in August is when I sometime between May and August, Shiver and I really connected. And in August, I started helping her, like asking her, like, is there something I can do to help you? Trying to figure out a way to make money. And through all the things we did together and all the conversations we did, she helped me realize I don't need to just help her in what she's doing. I can create my own, and I was able to do that because I was able to stay home. I never thought I would be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't think that was in the cards for me. You know what I mean? That's not what my dream was. Not that I don't love, most days I love it. A lot of days I'm annoyed, but I mean, that's just the life of two boys, I feel like. And I feel like like you said, it's not hard. I think the problem is people get like mentally frustrated. You know what I mean? Because one, if you're stuck home with two kids all day, there's no adult conversation. You know what I mean? And I think that was a big thing for me. Like he would come home and I would literally just flood him with conversation because all day I've had to talk about, Teen Titans and puppy dog pals and, nothing of any sort of substance. So,
Well, I like, I don't know. I just multitask. Like I'm the type of dude that I always need like mental stimulation. I always have to be like, um, just intrigued mentally. I'm always looking for something interesting to listen to, or
right,
even when I'm with the girls, I'm there, but I'm listening. I'm trying to like learn something at the same time. So it's like, um, and that's what I'm saying. Like for me personally, like what I think all women have beauty. All women, I can find beauty in all of them. But to me, it's like the thing I find most attractive is what's your mind like? How do you think? What are the how do you look at the world? What do you want out of life? What gets you going mentally? And that's what is most important to me. So for a woman to come along that they just want to sit home and
right.
like I just don't get, it doesn't stimulate me. And it's not the sitting home part, it's the fact that you're just sitting home. It's not like, it's like what else are you trying to accomplish?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Always have something else you're trying to accomplish. Always be looking forward to the next thing. Um, and like I said, I'm not knocking stay at home. I'm staying home with my kids. That's what I do right now. Um, and I enjoy it 110%. But at the same time, I have other things that I'm working towards that I'm doing. I'm not just complacent with just, okay, I take care of my kids and I look out for the house and
Yeah.
what else? You know, I'm still trying to do something else. We live in a world where um you can be like entrepreneurship's at an all-time high. You can start a business literally doing anything.
Right.
And it can work if you put your effort into it. So for me it's like, so that's what I'm saying. Like I don't want single, stay-at-home moms to sit here and like, get all pissed off because I'm not
Mhm.
trying to piss you off. I'm saying like what I want you to want something else. I want you to also be working towards something else because you need mental stimulation too. You need to be challenged and you need to be continuing your journey as far as being educated and learning new things and trying out new things and don't feel like you just take, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I got a 2-year-old and 4 or 5 week old, and there's plenty of downtime. They sleep, you know what I mean? They sleep a lot.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of time that I can be doing something else.
Well,
I get
I
up
want to
early in
add
the morning.
that you're lucky that Leona still naps because these kids in this house, they don't nap anymore. And they haven't napped for a long time now.
Yeah, but like I can always like get them mentally stimulated and
Right.
involve them in a task,
Right.
and then I can go do my thing and just keep an eye on them.
I,
It's like it's not that hard.
right. I feel like when Josh first went to work, like I literally turned it into a job because I would literally like, okay, the dishes have to be done, all the clothes have to be washed and folded and put away, the house needs to be clean. I would literally turn it into a job. So I would literally spend my whole day just doing that instead of actually trying to dream, or come up with goals for myself. I just my thought process, I guess, was, well, if he's going to spend all day working, I'm going to spend all day working in this house, so I'm going to make sure Like when he walks in the door, like there's nothing to, you know, there's nothing to look at. Like there's not a mess. Toys aren't everywhere. The house isn't in shambles. Even though that's not something that he was like, clean the house. You know what I mean? That wasn't the case. That's just, I guess, how I felt that I should respond to what he was doing. You know what I mean?
Well, from my perspective, like how I look at it is, if that if that was your dream to be a stay-at-home mom and just have kids and take care of your kids, that's fine if that was your dream. But like Josh just said, you need to have a purpose for just you though.
Right.
Like I get you take care of your kids and you keep the house clean and you cook dinner and shit, but what what do you want? You know, what do you want out of your life? What do you want for yourself? You understand?
Right.
And but on the same side, if that was your dream and you can find a man that can make that happen for you, then do what you want 100%. But it shouldn't be your expectation. You shouldn't be like, when you're looking for a guy, you shouldn't be looking for a guy that's just gonna like pay all the bills and let you just stay home. It's an expectation that you hold for him, not a dream that you have for yourself. And what is the motivation for your dream? You know, do you want your kids to be homeschooled, so you want to stay home so you can homeschool your kids because you feel like you're a better educator? That's different,
Right.
you know. But if it's just because I feel like a lot of times it's just because you just want to sit home. You don't want to have to go out and stress and work and all that shit. But there's two sides to it. If that's what you want to do, and that's your dream, but it shouldn't be an expectation for every guy that you meet. If you know, if you fall in love with somebody and that guy wants you to he's pushing you to accomplish and to achieve, and he wants, it's probably because he cares about you and he wants to know, like, what do you want?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you want out of life? What do you want to accomplish? Life is short. Um, but never let go of your dreams. Um, if like Josh has always told me his dream was to settle down, have a decent job, have a wife, and have some kids. That was his dream. That's he's working towards that dream.
Right.
You know, um, and it's like for me, it's like my dream is to be a mentor, to be an educator, to help people, and to be the best man that I can be for my family. So I do everything in alignment with what my dream is. I do everything according to what my dream is. And in the meantime, I try to, you know, work towards my passions in life, and how can I make money off what I'm passionate about,
Right.
so I don't have to feel like I'm just clocking in and not really getting any stimulation from it. Because most of the jobs I worked were not mentally stimulating for me. They didn't do anything for me. I'd go in, I'd work really hard, and I'd get all these raises and all these, you know, like everybody, you know, fucks with me and wants to work with me. And then within a year, I'm bored. I'm bored as fuck. I'm bored out of my mind because I've been doing the same thing for a year and I'm bored and I'm ready to go.
Right.
Um, so that's just, I'm just that way. I don't know. I guess not everybody's that way, but I'm wired that way. I get bored easily with work that doesn't stimulate me mentally or go into alignment with what I'm passionate about. And I've worked my whole life since I was, you know, 14 years old. I've had a job. So I'm not talking from shit I don't know about.
Right.
I've always done my thing on the side and I've always had a job. I've always busted my ass. So now that I'm 30, I'm trying to do what I really want out of my life. I want to get what I really want because life's short and I'm going to make the most of the day, and I can't make the most of the day. Um, you know, I just feel like I'm tired of clocking in for somebody else. I want to start clocking in for myself, and that's what I'm working towards. And I've had success here and there, so it's not been um, meaningless. I've got a lot out of it, and I've had some success here and there. So just make sure, and you can work your job to make your money and still work towards your dream.
Right.
You know, don't feel like just because you're an addict and you might have some robberies or some theft charges or some felonies, and okay, but there's other people who have those same type of charges who are still living out their dream.
Right.
You know, what's your dream? Work towards it. Figure out how you can get around it. What's a way that you can do it and get around your felonies and get around your theft charges and your robbery charges or whatever you occurred over your life of addiction. Um, don't feel like you gotta settle, you know?
Mm.
Or if your dream is spreading hope and spreading your message and all that, hey man, you can do that shit and still work your regular job and still be in alignment with what you want.
Right.
So just keep that in mind and don't it also helps you because you don't get stale. You won't get stale in your recovery. You won't just be like complacent and going through the
Right.
motions because
Yeah.
I feel like for me, boredom is a big trigger for relapse.
Right.
And if you're not doing what you love, your ass is gonna get bored. So make sure you got some other shit going on.
Do you want to
I
do?
see it all the I see it all the time. I just want to end on one point and then I'll get into my other topic and I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it. Um I see all the time now, especially now that the internet age is here. I see people from my community going after things that they wanted for themselves. They're starting their own brands, they're starting their own clothing companies, they're starting their own website design companies, like, and they're living out their dream. And they're becoming rap artists, music artists, whatever, and they're living out their dream. And they're working in alignment with what they want. And I'm sure they're a much happier person because of it. So just make sure that um and I'll never knock somebody that like try something, never give up. If you never gave up and you never made it, I would have a lot of respect for you than somebody who never tried.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just the way I look at it. And I used to be that type of person. That's why I'm speaking on it. I'm not speaking on it from the outside looking in. I'm speaking on it because I used to be somebody who always settled. So I'm speaking from the experience of how much better I feel and how much stronger my recovery is now that I'm not settling. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, if you're that type of person where you need to be mentally stimulated. And it's like I said, not with the I'm not I'm not trying to offend a single home mom because I'm gonna tell you another thing about it. Daycare is fucking outrageous.
Yeah.
So
It is.
if it's more financially suitable, that you stay home. But think about it when the kids go to school, make sure you're working towards something that you want out of life. So when the kids go back to school, so when your children are older and they start going to school, you got something that you're working towards because you need stimulation. You need to be challenged. You need goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just how I look at it, just my opinion. Um, so now we're gonna get into a different topic. We don't disclaimer, what I'm going to talk about right now, I already see a lot of people dropped off. I don't know if they got offended by that topic or not about, me. And it's always like, before you get offended, wait for the message, wait for the finished product and wait to see where it's going. Because, when I say things, my intentions are to lift you up and empower you,
Right.
make you think and make you want to achieve more things, not to put you down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I've been on the floor plenty of times where I've been down and I'm just sharing my experience. So it's personal to me. It doesn't have to reflect on you or it might not be what you want, but just look for the reason behind what I'm saying. So I saw a post on the Clean and Sober group. I engaged on it. Don't normally do it, but I did. Um, and the next day when I woke up, I had notifications and the post got pulled. So what the post said was, I'm so sick of people saying, I've never seen somebody go outside and catch crackhead, meaning um, the disease, because a lot of addicts say they have a disease. So somebody made a post and they shared it into the group and they were just like, I'm so fucking tired of seeing this shit. And it said, I've never seen somebody step outside and catch crackhead. So it's kind of not worded good actually at all, because most of the time you don't go outside and catch a disease. A lot of times you're born with it or you do something to get the disease. So it was kind of stupid to begin with. Um, but I'm gonna say it like this, and I'm gonna say it just how I said it in the post. It got pulled, so I didn't get to see what people were saying. I had before I went to sleep, I had a couple people, agreeing with me, and we were kind of going back and forth. Um, so if this topic bothers you to the point where you can't just listen and observe and get an understanding of where I'm coming from, then you can go ahead and check out. And I'm not coming from a place to offend. And before I get started, I'm an alcoholic. I've been drinking. I started drinking when I was 15. My mother was a drug addict. My father was an alcoholic. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My uncle was an alcoholic. My grandmother was an alcoholic. So on and so forth down the line. But just like that, there are plenty other. The more vast majority of my family do not have that problem.
Right.
You know, if you got a family of 50 and you count 10 out of the 50 that have this addiction, then you got to start thinking about it. Like, what does this really say? Um, Nature versus nurture type of thing. Um, so before I get rolling, first of all, um, I, as an alcoholic, I would never, ever, ever compare my addiction to a 7-year-old boy who has cancer. I feel like, for as easily as we're offended, I feel like it's super offensive for the parents who have children who were developed cancer in childhood, and they see people who go out and use drugs and decide to drink and decide to use drugs, saying that they have a disease, and I can relate, so I'm sympathetic. So I try. A lot of times in the addict community, we're only worried about our feelings. We're not worried about the outside world and how they look at us or
Mm.
how we look at them. And you don't like when the outside world offends you. So why aren't you more careful about saying things that might offend the outside world? You understand what I'm saying? It's a give and take, and we all got to mesh and blend and get along together as a whole world, as a whole community. So what I will say is this, and I seen a lot of people saying that, oh, it's been scientifically proven. Well, how many times has science said one thing and then 10 years later, uh, they make amendments to the science textbook because they found out they were wrong?
Right.
You understand? Also, um, research and studies can be skewed to support anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could do an experiment and I could skew the numbers to support any side of my argument. And another point that I made was, you're going to trust the same scientists who develop pharmaceuticals,
Right.
and you're going to trust the doctors who hand them out to slap a label on yourself that you have a disease.
Right.
Why would you do that? Why? Like, I don't need the label. So this is where I'm coming from. I don't need the label.
Right.
I don't want to go around saying I have a disease. Like, it makes me feel like I have no choice in what I have or what's going on. It makes me feel like I'm powerless. And I have a choice when I do.
Right.
And this is my point, and this is why I feel like it's important that you understand and you listen, because I want to empower you. So I don't want you to put a label on yourself.
Right.
I have a problem with alcohol. Okay? I was addicted to alcohol. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated. I don't need to read science studies and figure out why, because why doesn't matter. What matters is, what am I going to do now? Now that I know that I have an addiction, and it's just like this, it's like, and I made the statement too, that if alcoholism and drug addiction is a disease, number one, why do we use the language addiction then? Because addiction is something else.
Right.
So we can't use one language and then use the other language to identify the same exact thing. It doesn't work that way. And an addiction, if that was the case, and I made the point in the comment that if that's the case, the whole world has it. Because the whole world's addicted to something. The whole world's addicted to caffeine, nicotine, sex, shitty food, you name it. We're all addicted to one thing or another. Driving fast in our car, working out, whatever. Addicted to violence, rush, anger, hatred. We're all addicted to something. There is not a single person that I've ever met that hasn't been addicted to something in life.
Right.
Sweet, candy, whatever. Gum. So, do they all have a disease? You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the way I look at it. And the reason why I'm saying it is because I just don't want you to put that on your back. Why are you going to put that on your back? And another reason why I'm saying it is because I feel like saying you have a disease can be dangerous, and it can be extremely dismissive, because it makes you think like the little boy who has cancer, there's nothing that he can do about it to change his situation. He's all dependent on the doctors to fix him. He has no power.
Right.
And it's like, I don't want to put that on myself. I know I have control. I have power. I can make the right choice every day. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just how I try to look at it, because it makes me better in my recovery. So I will also say, if saying you have a disease makes you stronger in your recovery, then you can do whatever you want. You can use whatever language you want. But me personally, I just feel like labels are unnecessary, because labels are put in place to group us, divide us, judge us, critique us. You understand? So if we can drop down the labels, then we can be just like everybody else. And we can move in the world just like everybody else. But we know that we have this addiction. Like, we all drink caffeine and smoke cigarettes, right? I know I do. Well, I vape now, but who cares? Same thing, still nicotine. So I'm still addicted to nicotine and caffeine. Um, but it doesn't fuck up my life. Alcohol fucks up my life, because when I drink alcohol, I lose control. Um, and there's a lot of people who lose control when they drink alcohol, but they don't get arrested and they don't see it as a problem, and they live their life pretty well around it. You know what I mean? So we have just become aware that this isn't good for us. Yeah, Julie, thank you. Let's hold you back. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to say I have a disease, because number one, I feel like it's insensitive to the little kids who have cancer, because they had no say.
Right.
And I feel like it's also hindering my recovery, because I feel when I say disease, it makes me feel like I have no choice. Like I was just born with this shit or something. So that's the only point I'm saying. So I'm saying it from a good place, and I'm not saying it to judge you. If you feel like you have a disease and it helps your recovery because it helps you put a finger on it and it helps you identify with it, then that's okay. But why is it another thing too? Like, accountability is huge in recovery.
Right.
It's a big part of it. So when you say you have a disease, do you think you're holding yourself fully accountable for your choices? But this is just from my mental perspective.
Right.
My mental perspective tells me that if I say I have a disease, then that makes me less accountable, because when I fuck up, I can say, "Oh, I'm sorry, babe. I can't help it. I got a disease."
Right.
I don't want to drink. Yeah, I did. I went to the store and I felt bad about it, but I went to the store, I bought the beer, and I drank it because I wanted to.
Right.
It's an addiction. It would be just like if I was trying to quit drinking Red Bulls, and I started getting headaches, and I started getting cranky, and I didn't wait long enough to let the caffeine, let my body balance out. And I went to the store and bought a Red Bull and drank a Red Bull. I chose to do it.
Right.
Yeah, there's mental complications that come when you're trying to get off of something, because your body's became used to it. It's adapted to it.
Right.
It doesn't mean you have a disease. You know what I'm saying? Like, I chose to drink my first drink. And when I got in trouble and I started having problems in my life, and I knew it was because of it, I kept doing it. I kept doing it because my addiction was stronger than my will to quit.
Right.
So I needed to strengthen my foundation, and it made me work harder, because I didn't just pass it off like I have a disease. And also, if you off, it's like you have a disease and you slap that label on yourself. How can you ever get to the root of what really troubles you and what's really bothering you, and the things that you struggle with mentally and physically and emotionally, if you're just slapping a big old blanket on it that says I have a disease? How will you ever get to the bottom? How will you ever figure out, why did I keep drinking? You kept drinking because it became a crutch. It became something to run to. I made the comment on somebody's live video. The guy's name is Wyatt, and I rarely watch other people's lives. I'm gonna be honest with you because I'm a busy person and I put a lot of effort into my message and what I'm gonna say. But I clicked on his live and his live was all about breaking the cycles. And so it caught me because we're breaking the chain. So it caught me and it sucked me in and he did an excellent job. You can go watch his videos. He's very in depth. He tries to get to the root. He doesn't really talk much. I sat on there and watched 2 videos. He didn't really talk a lot about drugs. He talked about real shit underneath of it.
Yeah. I saw he was doing one this morning too.
He's good. I like him. He's one of the few people that I've tuned into and really sat there and interacted and watched the whole thing. But I want to get to the root. You know, I want to understand. Like, I had an anger problem. I was impatient. I was, you know, I was bitter. I was hurt. You know, I was pissed off about my life. I was angry about my past and all these other things that just fueled my drinking. It's not a disease. It's just me not being able to cope emotionally and mentally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to do this topic, and I didn't want to do it to be controversial. We rarely talk about anything that's controversial. Anybody that's followed us for the 2 years or however long we've been doing this, we're not big on the controversy.
2 years. Does it feel like it's been 2 years, Joe? It hasn't even been a year yet.
I don't know. It feels like it's been forever. But for as long as we've been doing this, we don't like to get into it because we don't like to alienate our audience. But I feel like my duty, I feel like I'm not serving and I'm not doing my duty to the full if I don't share how I really feel and why I feel that way. So like I said, if you don't like it or you don't agree, it's absolutely okay. We don't have to be enemies or say ignorant shit to each other because we don't agree with how we feel about life. You know what I mean? And I just don't do it because I don't like I said, I don't like to alienate. But I feel like I'm doing myself and you guys a disservice if I don't tell you the truth about how my truth, how I feel, and why I feel that way. I never just say shit that's I never just say shit that's brash or outrageous without telling you why I'm saying it, because I feel like it can get lost in translation and people can get angry. And I feel like I can do a good enough job explaining to you why I feel this way that I can help you understand why I'm saying it. Um, and I see a lot of times on the recovery groups where people don't agree and it becomes a shit show or a big old, you know, fight
Right.
just because people don't get along or they don't agree on something. It's like, fuck, I don't agree with my wife and the people that I love on a lot of shit, but we still love each other and we still get along and we can still come to a common goal and help achieve a common goal, even though we don't agree on everything.
Right.
But for anybody wondering, the reason why I don't like the term disease when it comes to our addiction is because I feel like it's dismissive and I feel like it takes a lot of power and control out of you and your choices because you can write it off as I have a disease. I used that excuse for a long time, not disease. I just said I can't help it. I don't know why I keep doing it. But the reason why I kept doing it is because in the back of my mind, I really wanted to.
I'm telling you no.
Why can't I sit down on that bench?
I kept drinking because I wanted to. I just didn't like the consequences. You know what I'm saying? You got to be real with yourself. You didn't want to stop drinking or using drugs because you just all of a sudden want to change. You don't like how it's impacting your life and you don't like dealing with the negative consequences of it. You know what I'm saying? So we have to fight every day to make sure that we remember what the consequences are when we use drugs and we drink so we can stay sober and we can stay clean. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, do I still want to drink? Yes and no. You know what I mean? Like I miss the times that I had when it was good, but I also remember all the bad times that I had and I do the scale and they outweigh tremendously. So I just make the conscious effort that I know this is bad for my life. I know this will make me a bad influence for my children. I know this will make me a lesser husband, a lesser brother, a lesser friend. So I'm gonna leave this shit out of my life because I don't need it. It's not necessary. It's a hobby or a luxury item. It's not needed. You don't need it to have a better life. but we're habitual creatures, and we got caught up in the habit, and then we lost control because our addiction grew stronger and stronger. And the more we drank, the more we used, the worse our life got. And we hit that crossroad where we're like, all right, I've had enough of this shit. I don't want to live this way anymore. So I don't need this in my life. And we kick it out. If I started blacking out and doing crazy shit when I drank caffeine, I do the same thing with caffeine.
Right.
You understand? So, and that's why I don't like, but the bottom line is that's why I don't like the language disease, because for me, I feel like it's dismissive. It can be a dangerous way to look at it. As far as you can just make excuses for yourself,
Right.
and say I have a disease. This scientist who made the drugs that I was hooked on, he told me I had a disease, so I'm gonna roll with that.
Right.
Why? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. He's the same guy that made the drugs that you were addicted to, and you're trusting what the doctors say when they do their studies. They're the same guys who are handing out pills when it's not needed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why are you trusting? Why are you putting your faith and putting the strength of your recovery in their hands? Put it in yours. Rip the label off and put the power in your hands. Because you're only going to get clean and sober and stay there because of you. You have to do it. You have to make the choice. And to go back to it, every day that we make the choice not to drink or use drugs, we're not, you know what I'm saying? What are we, cured as long as we make the choice not to? That little boy can't wake up at 7 years old and make the choice that he's not going to have cancer today.
Right.
He has no fucking say in that. And I feel very insensitive if I'm comparing myself to him. I just feel like it's not fair to him. You know what I mean? It's not relatable. It's not even close.
Russell.
So, for me, unless somebody's sticking the needle in your arm and sticking the pills down your throat,
and that's not usually happening.
You got a choice.
Okay.
Unless somebody's holding you down with a funnel in your mouth and dumping alcohol in it, you got a choice.
Over here.
And to me, it's like a detour. Saying disease is like a big ass detour, because what you could do is you could try to find out the root about, why did I keep drinking for so long? Why am I so angry? Why do I have so much resentment and all this? And I feel like if you get hung up on the disease factor, you don't hit the root of your problem, and you don't grow as an individual. You won't address your deeper issues. Like I've always said, I started out drinking because it was a party and it was fun, but then I kept drinking because I wanted to.
Sorry.
So we just got to keep that in mind, that we gotta stay on topic, stay on subject, stay on point, stay focused. We don't need any segues. We don't need to get sidetracked in what we're trying to do and get hung up on just terminology and language, because it's not as important. But I'm just telling you why you will never see me say it. You will never see me get in a live video and say I have a disease, because I don't. I have an addiction that causes a lot of complications in my life, so I choose to stay absent from that addiction. I choose to leave it alone, and I like Shara just said, I like to hold myself accountable. And I just feel like it's just not something I need. So I hope that I open up some eyes, and I hope that what I'm saying can impact some people in a positive way. Like I said, if you feel like you have a disease, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Stop talking to me. No.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying you're wrong. If that's how you feel, I'll never tell you you're wrong. It's like the guy who had a heroin problem and he smokes pot. I'll never tell him he's not clean, because it's not my recovery, it's his.
Right.
If his life is better and he's not doing his drug that drug him down, and this thing that he chooses to do makes his life better and he doesn't have any problem, that's his business, that's his recovery.
And I've seen a lot of people have been asking questions like that in the different groups that I'm in. They'll ask, if heroin was their drug of choice, does having one beer at the bar or whatever make them relapse? I never even look at the comments because I can only imagine how negative they are towards that person. But I'm like if drinking wasn't their thing, then I don't see the issue in them having one beer. If it doesn't make their life unmanageable, if it doesn't drag them through the dirt, if it doesn't make them lose their house, their home, their kids, their family, all that stuff, so be it.
I'll just say, like, if somebody asked me personally, I would just say you're taking a big risk.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Right.
But if it works for you, do what you got to do and do what works for you.
And I've had people
But
ask me that too. And my advice is always, especially if they're early in recovery, that you're playing with fire. Because even if that wasn't, for instance, if you have less than a year clean, I would not recommend that you go out with your friends on a Friday night for drinks. Just because, to me, your foundation isn't firm enough to where, because once you get into that, once you started to drink, you could easily fall victim to other things that you have in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. Yep.
And I have been distracted because both of these kids have come out here, but I wanted to also say, I have always said to people, I have always defended the disease. If somebody has said my addiction is a disease and someone backlashes them for it, I always have gone to their defense. However, in hearing, because this isn't the first time you've said this to me, but you've said it before, the empowerment piece is what sticks with me. Do you know what I'm saying? When you say that calling it a disease takes the power away from you, that makes more sense to me. Do you know what I'm saying? And for some reason, I had never thought about the 7-year-old who has cancer, which is crazy because Matthew goes to school with a kid. He doesn't have cancer, but he has a brain tumor. And they've already operated once, and they have to operate again. So he may not have a disease technically, but he didn't do anything to get that brain tumor. You know what I'm saying? It's not because of the drug he took, or because he was out drinking, or because he was a shit person in life. You know what I mean? That's obviously not the case for him. So it's always funny to me when it was funny to me when you said about bringing this up, because a lot of times people get on and they don't listen, like you said, they don't listen to the message. They listen to respond. So when they hear you begin to talk about how you feel addiction is not a disease, instead of continuing to listen for the message, they instantly go into defense mode and instantly start arguing with why their addiction is a disease.
And I have a duty to not only try to help addicts and alcoholics, I have a duty to try to help us mesh back with society. You understand?
Yeah.
And this is a piece of language that may prevent us from meshing back well with society, because you're going to have those parents that have kids with cancer and they're going to fucking hate you because their precious little child has a disease that they had no choice in, and they're going to see you chose to go out and drink or chose to go out and smoke crack or whatever the case may be, and they're going to just get so fucking upset about it that it's going to put a wall between us. We don't just want to get clean and get sober so we can have better lives for ourselves. We want to get clean and sober so we can be positive for everybody else that's around us, including those who are not addicts and not alcoholics. You understand what I'm saying? And, it's like like I said before, the only reason we get clean and sober in the first place is because it fucks up our relationships. It fucks up the way we function in the outside world. It destroys us mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So we try to get away from that. We don't get away from it just because it's a simple addiction like caffeine or nicotine. Caffeine and nicotine, it might kill me way later on in life, but it doesn't make me do anything irrational that I wouldn't normally do. So that's the way I look at it. It's just an addiction, and I feel like nobody's addicted to cancer. You feel what I'm saying? So you can't you can't use two different languages that mean two totally different things where you say, I have a disease, but I have an addiction. We got to make a choice. Just like we make a choice to get sober, just like we make a choice to use the first time or drink the first time. I knew it fucked up my family and a lot of my friends and people that I knew, but I thought I was better.
Right.
I thought I was going to be all right. So I went ahead and drank, and
No.
I got rewarded with my behavior because for about 3 years I never had any problems with it. But it's progressive because the more you indulge, the stronger the addiction grows, just like caffeine. One cup of coffee might work for you the first time, then later on in life you might need two because your body adapts. So your parent, if you were a kid and your parent forced you to take drugs or gave you or made you take pills, then you didn't have a choice in how your addiction was created, but you have a choice now. You know what you know now. You know it messed up your life. So even though it was forced on you, you didn't have a choice then, but you have a choice now. You understand?
Right. Well, and that goes too for because there are people that are in car accidents, or maybe they have a brain tumor, or maybe they have some sort of something that requires them to take pain medication, and then they become addicted, because that happens too, and that happens all the time. There was a friend of mine last year, her C-section scar on the inside had wedged itself, or no, her bladder had wedged itself into where her C-section incision was. She had real pain, and they couldn't schedule her surgery for like 6 weeks out. So for 6 weeks, they had her on a high dose pain medication, more than one. She was on a couple different ones. And I said to her, I have a real concern for after you have your surgery and what your life is going to be like. I said, because your body is going to be physically dependent upon those drugs. It doesn't take 6 weeks. It takes less than 6 weeks to become addicted to pain medication or heroin. So after she had her surgery, probably 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, she messaged me and she was like, what does withdrawal feel like? What does detox feel like? And I kind of went through like what my symptoms were. Russell. Sorry, he decided he was going to run after the mailman. She had messaged me, asked me what detox felt like, and I told her, and she was like, I really feel like that's what I'm going through right now. She said she was all out of her pain medication, and she was only on, like Tylenol and Motrin, and she detoxed for like a week. So, but it gave her, and before she went through that, she really didn't understand addiction. So through her whole experience, she has a different outlook on it now, obviously.
Okay, so I want to get to Lana's been on here with us a couple times, so I'm gonna first to answer your question. Like I said before, I don't know if you caught it, but you had a choice. You didn't have a choice when it started if your parents were giving it to you, like a lot of us who our parents let us drink, and before we had any knowledge or we knew what was what, or gave us pills or whatever the case. You didn't have a choice then, but you got a choice now. You know what you know now, and you have a choice to do something different now.
Right.
Ignorance is bliss. But once you're aware, then you have to have action. You have to do something about it once you're made aware. So you know it's a problem. You know it's not good for you. You know it's something that fucks your life up. So now you have a choice, and now you need to make your choice. So Lana says, my child's father is a severe alcoholic, still to this day, and his 2 sons are drug addicts. They don't drink at all. Therefore, is it in the blood, or is it simply a choice? There's nature and nurture, right? So from a society standpoint, our community is full of drug addicts and alcoholics. So whether it's hereditary or not, all it takes is one time for you to drink or use drugs socially to have fun. Like I said, that's how it started for me. I did it to have fun. I didn't do it for any other reason. My home life was a little unstable. So looking back on hindsight, I can maybe say, well, I was trying to escape. But really, as a young, barely a teenager, I wanted to have fun, and all the older people that I looked up to were doing it, so I wanted to do it too because it looked like they were having fun, so I wanted to have fun.
Right.
So I got drunk, But later on in life, I developed an addiction that got stronger and stronger because I kept drinking more and more. You understand? So in my opinion, um, I don't think it's necessarily as much in your blood as it is in what you've seen or what you've gone through. And that's why, we're breaking the chains. That's why I like when Wyatt talks about breaking the cycle, because the abused parent abuses the kid, the abused becomes the next abuser, so on and so forth. It's the same thing, but it's not because it's in his blood to be an abuser. It's because he was abused. You understand? And he learned that behavior. You learn to be an addict or an alcoholic over time. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, and
And there's too many people like Jewel who don't have any addicts and alcoholics really in their family at all, and she's an addict. So that trumps that. And there's a lot of people like her. So I just can't really buy into that. Doesn't matter to me either way. If you think it's hereditary, then so be it. But you choose to use drugs and you
on it. You're just
Simple as that.
making yourself an excuse, It doesn't matter whether it's hereditary. It doesn't matter if it's a brain disorder or a mental health disorder or a disease. None of that matters. What really matters is how you handle it and what you do to control it and how you help fix your problem. Because just like you said, my mother's not an addict or an alcoholic. My grandmother isn't. My aunts and uncles are not. My grandparents aren't. My dad is not. I think that I have an uncle. I think my uncle and some of my cousins are alcoholics. Whether they identify as an alcoholic or not, I don't know. But I've seen them drink, so I know that they have a real problem with it. But I didn't grow up around them. You know what I'm saying? So their addiction or alcoholism didn't faze me. It didn't bother me. It didn't play into my upbringing.
I wanna answer Lana's question. So you agree totally, but people say you chose an alcoholic and that's why they're drug addicts. That's completely false. So take that burden off your back. We live in a fucking society and we live in the social scene where it's socially acceptable to do drugs and drink alcohol.
Right.
So you could be the best parent on the fucking planet Earth, and your husband could not even be it, or their father could not even be a alcoholic, and those kids could still go off and go to a party, start using drugs, and then become drug addicts. It has no stake in the race whether or not they become drug addicts or not, whether they become alcoholics or not. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's just an addiction. It's a choice the first time. We all know we shouldn't do it. We've all been taught that in school. We've all been told that. We've been told it over and over again. But it's still a big part of our social scene. So hence, bars exist. So
Right.
it's like, it's still a big part of how we mingle, socially. So that's always going to be the case. So your child is always vulnerable to become a drug addict or an alcoholic, whether you or any of your family members do it or not. So that's why I said it doesn't matter if it's hereditary or not, because it's not going to make a difference.
Wait.
You know what I'm saying? They could still say no. Like, I use the example, okay, my grandfather was an alcoholic for like 30 years, and my grandmother was on that side of the family was not. They had 3 kids. One's a social drinker, meaning she drinks on the holidays pretty much, and that's it. And she don't never get real fucked up or nothing. She can handle her business. And there's one brother. He never got drunk or got high a day in his life. And then there's another brother who's an alcoholic. So you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't feel like there's any basis on the hereditary aspect. It's all about, how you perceive. Like my dad always said, he drank because he wanted to be accepted by his father, and he thought if he was like him, he would accept him. He would like him more. My uncle, his brother, said, I saw how my dad was, and I didn't want to fucking be anything like that.
Right.
And then I'm sure my aunt felt the same way, but she drank, probably realized early in life she could handle her business, and she knew she had to be careful because of what she saw her dad do. But she also saw her mom, who never had a problem, and she rolled the dice and it worked out for her. So you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the hereditary thing is just something else that we can get hung up on that really holds no weight,
No.
because there's a lot of people who don't have alcoholics and addicts in their immediate family, and those that next generation still might go out to a party and end up becoming a drug addict or an alcoholic.
Lana,
So that's just how I feel.
sorry. Don't waste your time arguing with others about it on a daily basis, because all that does is drain you mentally. You shouldn't have to go through that. So,
And this is kind of why, like, this is why I rarely talk about these topics, because I feel like it kind of gets us all sidetracked from the point, which is getting everybody clean, getting everybody sober, meshing us back in with the rest of the world who doesn't have this problem, so they can see us as real people. But I feel like it's important that we talk about it, because, like I said, I feel like slapping the disease label on you can hold you back, and it's dangerous language because it can make you dismissive, and it can make you not work as hard towards your recovery because you feel like you have a disease, therefore you feel like you're helpless.
right.
A
I,
lot of that terminology, for me, I feel like it's old terminology that needs to be cut out. I always say that you're helpless and you're powerless when you're using the drug or you're using the alcohol. Once you get into recovery, you're no longer helpless, you're no longer powerless. So we need to make the clear distinction right there. And I feel like a lot of times people fail to make that distinction, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm doing this topic, because I'm making the fucking line in the sand. When you're using drugs and you're drinking alcohol, you're indulging in your addiction, you're powerless and helpless because you're addicted, and you know your brain is thrown off track and you're making poor choices. But once you make the choice that you want to get clean and you want to get sober, and you do that, once you step into recovery, you're no longer powerless, you're no longer helpless, and you have a choice. Simple and plain. There's no two ways about it. So a lot of us who spread the message, who are mentors and role models in recovery, we need to make sure that we're making that distinction,
no.
that we're not going to keep that same. And you see it though. You see it where they said, when I was using my drug of choice, I was powerless, and I realized that I was powerless over the drugs. So I'm living a life of recovery, so I'm not powerless. You understand? It's there, but sometimes we only hear the parts that we want to hear. We'll hear powerless and helpless and disease, and we'll slap all these different stickers on our chest and walk around with an excuse.
Right.
And that's what I don't want to happen. You understand?
I think you should write this, Joe.
Well, I'm doing my book. Once I get my first one done, that's more important to me because it's something I've been working on forever. So once I get that done, I will be writing a book, my
I'm
own
talking
recovery
about
book.
just writing an article for the blog. It doesn't have to be long.
Well, I'm not gonna shoot my shots on articles. I'm gonna put it in my book. So need to hold my material.
What?
But I just wanted to share this message with you guys because, like I said, the one that I was commenting on, it got yanked. So I don't know what happened or if people got nasty. Like I said, you know, we can disagree. We don't have to throw hate at each other just because we don't agree on the same thing.
Well,
I love other opinions.
the original person could have deleted it if she didn't like if he or she didn't like the response they were getting.
Or the admin could have came in because, you know, the admin's doing his job and he didn't want to see a bunch of arguing. Because the one admin that I know of, he's a real positive, you know, loving type of individual. From what I gather, I've watched his videos a few times, and I like his message too. He's a pretty level-headed guy. He seems like he's all about what he's doing, and I can't say enough good things about him from what I've seen. So maybe he just doesn't want to see that divide in the groups because, like I said, we struggle with having a different opinion without hating the other person. You know, you can disagree with someone and not have to, you know, you don't have to beat them up because you don't agree.
Right.
You can just say, I don't agree and this is why, but I respect your opinion and this is how I feel. Like I said, if disease helps you in your recovery, stick with what you're doing if it works. I'm not judgmental as far as what you do to recover. It's up to you how you recover. So what you do to recover is totally up to you. But this is just my opinion, and this is why you don't hear me say the disease thing and all the things that I gave you. All the points that I've said are why. There's so many reasons why, and it's because I want to empower you, and I also want to start making the effort to mesh us back into the rest of the world that don't have these problems, and I don't want them to have children, like I said, who have cancer or whatever the case may be, and look at us with so much hate and disgust because they know for a fact most of us chose to go out and drink and chose to go out and use drugs, even though we knew it was bad. Whether we say we did or not, we all took DARE class. Um, so we just didn't take it serious. I know I did. So they'll look at it like, my little child has a choice in having cancer. It really offends me and hurts my feelings because my child's dying from cancer. And you have an addiction and a drug problem or alcohol problem, and you're comparing your shit with his shit. It can get misconstrued. It can get lost in translation. And without that relationship, we can't explain to them, or you can't explain to them why you say you have a disease. Hey, it helps me recover. And when I'm in recovery, I'm not robbing your house. Or when I'm in recovery, I'm not on the road drinking and driving. It might kill you and your family, So just let me do my thing because it helps me. But I just wanted to provide the cautionary tale. Like, it may make you dismissive and it may make you lose some of your accountability because disease means no choice. And that's just how I look at it. I look at a lot of diseases, there's no choice in them. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it may make you dismissive. And I leaned on that for a long time. Not necessarily disease, but I always said, like, you think I want to get drunk all the time? You think I want to live like this? When in reality, no, I didn't really want to live like that, but I did want to get drunk still. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. And I couldn't let go of the fact that I wasn't capable of doing that. And once I realized I got to just make a fucking choice because I can't get this shit back under control, I made my choice and I'm sticking with it. And that's all it is to me. It's a choice for me. And that's me. So if that's not you, that's fine. But that's how I feel. These are the reasons why. Anybody catching the replay, Jewel, if you could do me a favor, if you could do a timestamp, go back, watch the video. You don't have to spend a lot of time, but skip forward and see when we stop talking about the dreams aspect and timestamp the disease topic. So anybody coming in watching the replay, they can fast forward all that and they can get right to this topic if this is what they need for the day. When you get a chance, doesn't have to be right away.
I'm posting the link for t-shirts. So
Okay, well, when you get done, like later on in the day, can you just timestamp it for the disease topic?
Yeah.
So you just go in the comments right when it starts, and then they'll know so they can fast forward.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we had it in the subject title.
No, I just put the just for today topic and conversation. So.
All right, y'all. So I'm gonna end this because I have to pee really bad, and I gotta work out, and I gotta go home. So I just want you to know that this is coming from a place of love, and this is coming from a place of I want to give you back your power.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want you to stand tall and say my life is up to me, my choices are mine, and roll that way because I feel like it'll make you stronger in your recovery. It's just my opinion, but it's helped me, so that's how I'm carrying it. And these are the many, many reasons why I feel this way. So I hope I didn't hurt any feelings or piss anybody off. If I did, go ahead and inbox me. Don't get in the comments. If you have something good to say, if you got some reasoning and you want to hash it out in the comments, I'm all for it. But if you want to be nasty to me, just do it in private. You know what I mean? Just inbox me.
Yeah.
And we can carry it from there that way. So, because I don't want that to be on my video. But if you do have a conflicting opinion and you have some reasons why, please share it because I love other people's perspective and I would love to see what you have to say. But just be as kind with your words as I was with mine. And if you feel you can't do that, don't comment or just inbox me.
And if anybody's interested, we're selling t-shirts that say Breaking the Chains on the front, and on the back they say in love and memory of Wendy Hewitt. You can take it off and change the name or take it off completely. All of the money raised from the t-shirt sales is being donated to Midshore Restoring Hope in Women, which is a local nonprofit that helps fund women in recovery. If you have any questions or want more details about that, you can message me also. And I put the link in the comments if you want to order a shirt. So that's that. I still think you should write a blog piece on it though, Joe. Or I'm gonna.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna definitely be in my book. So and my first book should be done before I come back home. So as soon as I get back from Maryland, I will be working on it, and I want to have it done in 30 days. So
You mean when
it's
you
not going to be that
come
much.
in July?
Yeah, I'm gonna have my first one done, the one that me and Josh and Shower worked on, and then when I get done with that, when I get back from Maryland, I'm gonna start working on my recovery book, and it's gonna be done. I'm gonna have it done in 30 days. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, because I already have all the material. So
Good.
yeah. So I'm holding out because I want it to be in my book.
Mm.
And then if you like, I don't want to put it in a blog. You understand? For a reason. I got reasons.
Yeah, but I think you're doing a disservice by not doing it that way. I have reasons for
Well,
it. One another.
if I'm just gonna blog all my shit, then there's no need to write a book.
No, it's not about no. This is a conversation for not this live video, so we'll talk about it later.
All right.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. The t-shirts, I put the link in the comments. If you make them black, they are black, Lana. They are black. They're black with white lettering. I didn't do them black for that reason, but I mean, I feel like black and white are just classic colors to me, so that was just what I went with: a black t-shirt, white lettering. So.
All right.
Okay.
Thank y'all for watching.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.